Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ahmad, Membership Engagement Manager at the Greater Wyoming Valley Chamber of Commerce, and thank you for joining us today for our Wednesday Wisdom Series, which is a public webinar focused on delivering relevant information to support business connectivity and sustainability in our region. To be respectful of everyone's time, we've allotted time at the end of this session here for a Q&A. If you have any questions, please submit it in the chat box of the webinar, or if you're watching on Facebook, please put in the comment section. We'll be sure to get that question over to the presenter so they can answer it for you. This event is being live streamed on Facebook, and a recording will be available on our Facebook page and the YouTube for you to access later, or share with your friends and families if this content best fits for them. Today, we'll get you ready to ace the interview at the Luzerne County Recovery Job Fair, which is next Tuesday, December 15th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Job seekers will have the ability to click and connect with over 70 local Luzerne County employers. Our presenter today is Brittany Budman, Career Navigator at PA CareerLink Luzerne County. Brittany helps job seekers enhance their resume, identify job leads, mitigate barriers, and upgrade their skills. She also coordinates and instructs the workshop series. Previously, she did one on upping your LinkedIn game, so check that out on the PA CareerLink Facebook page, I believe. Today, Brittany will cover the best practices to help you ace the interview, such as researching a company beforehand, tips on professional attire, reviewing practice questions and answers, as well as share how you can access additional interview questions on the PA CareerLink's Big Interview online tool. She will also cover the basic on how to interview in today's new virtual world. Before I bring Brittany in, I'd like to introduce you guys to Anthony Melf and Brittany Budman.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Ahmad. It's great to be with you for a Wednesday Wisdom series feature. As Ahmad said, my name is Anthony Melf. I work as a project coordinator at the PA CareerLink of Luzerne County, and we just want to remind our viewers today that we are here for you during these challenging times. We serve both employers and job seekers. So if you're an employer and you need any assistance with your recruitment efforts, please reach out to our office. And for our job seekers, if you are in need of assistance, such as a career navigator to help you navigate your job search, eligibility criteria required, please reach out to our offices in Hazleton. We're at 75 North Laurel Street, and Wilkes-Barre 32 East Union Street. But the best way to reach us during these difficult times is remotely. So reach out to our Facebook page, PA CareerLink Luzerne County, or our new local office websites, careerlinkwilkesbarre.org or careerlinkhazleton.org. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am Brittany Budman. I'm from the Greater Pittston Chamber of Commerce. I am the administrator and events coordinator here at our wonderful Pittston location. We are very excited to be a part of this event, as well as the career fair that you will see coming up with our V fairs. Appreciate Ahmad and all of his work, and all the people at CareerLink to put all of this together. And again, very excited to be a part of it.
Thank you, Anthony and Brandy. And now I'd like to bring in Brittany from PA CareerLink, who will get us started and get us ready to ace the interview.
Thank you, Ahmad, for the wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. Again, I'm Brittany, Career Navigator at the CareerLink office in Wilkes-Barre. So today we're going to go through the Ace the Interview presentation to get you prepared for not only next week's job fair, but interviews in the future. So you've scored the interview. Congratulations if you already have one scheduled. If not, your time is coming. We're going to do what we can to get you prepared with what to do before the interview, what to bring, what to wear, and kind of some follow-up steps, as well as some virtual interview tips. So before the interview, research and preparation are key to having a successful interview. You want to make sure you're fully prepared for that interview. So we're just going to go through what to do to get you ready. So before your interview, the first thing you want to do is learn about the company. Take some time to do a lot of research on what the company has to offer. Check out their company website, view their services, maybe their products if that's what their company is for. View their mission statement. A lot of times the questions they ask you are going to be valued around that mission statement, so you want to make sure you know how to answer those questions. Visit their social media accounts. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram tell you so much about a company's culture, how they interact with their customers, their customer reviews, and even what their employees are up to. So it's a great way to just check out their overall culture. And if you have the opportunity, networking is a huge thing. It's a great way to get your foot in the door. If you know anybody who has worked in that company or organization, or both now or in the past, reach out to them, let them know you have an interview, and ask them about the position, ask them about the company, just get some more information overall. And then you want to know the position. I always recommend when you apply for a position, you print out the job description. That way, when you get an interview or a call back, you can refer back to that job description. So pull it out, print it out, take some time and really read through that job description, maybe make some notes. While you're going through that job description, prepare responses as to how you would accomplish each task of that job description. And then also just research the position overall. You want to make sure you're knowledgeable of that specific position. That way you can describe it well, you can answer your questions correctly. And although you never want to bring up salary in an interview, if the interviewer asks, you're prepared and you're knowledgeable on what exactly your salary or wage range should be. During this research time and getting to know the position and preparing your responses, you also want to make sure you take some time to write down a few questions that you may want to ask during the interview. And then know yourself. This is a great time for you to really reflect on your professional experiences, your accomplishments, skills, education, and volunteer activities. So take some time, write down all of your experiences and roles in each of these avenues, and make sure you're comfortable discussing all of them. You want to make sure that what you're saying in your interview reflects on what is written in your resume. So really go through your resume and make sure you're comfortable with everything that's on it. This is a great aspect, especially if you have some volunteer roles that may not reflect roles on your resume. For example, if you're applying for a supervisor or manager role and you don't necessarily have that experience on your resume, during your interview, you could pull in a volunteer experience where you did play that managerial or supervisor role. And then you want to make sure you're prepared. So you want to know exactly where the interview will take place and how to get there. If you have the opportunity to, try to go to the location of the interview 24, 48 hours before your interview. Physically drive there or take the bus route so you know exactly what the building looks like, what the traffic is like, maybe if there's construction, so you know where to park. Is there a parking lot? Do I have to find street parking? Do I have to walk to get to that place? So those things are really going to help you make sure you're prepared for the interview. If you don't have the opportunity to drive to the location of the interview, utilize Google Maps. Just put in the address, make sure you know the correct route, and also put the satellite view on, and you can look and see exactly what the building looks like and where you'd be parking, and the street, is it one way, and things like that. Make sure you bring your updated resume and print several copies. You want to make sure you have 3 to 5 copies of your resume just in case you need to give multiple copies out. And you also want to make sure you have your questions that you've prepared, a notebook and a pen, and also if you have a reference sheet just in case, you might want to bring that along. A Padfolio is a great way to just gather all those documents and keep them with you in a professional manner. Find out the interviewer's name so you can ask for him or her upon arrival. I know we get that phone call about the interview. It's super excited, you're super nervous, but make sure you take the time to ask for the interviewer's name or write it down so that when you get to the interview, you can ask for them right away at the front desk or with the receptionist, and they know exactly who to call. And then plan your outfit, which we're going to get into next. So you always want to make sure you're dressing the best representation of you, but you want to minimize distractions. So generally that means dressing professionally. You want to make sure your clothes are clean, they're pressed, they fit well. Your hair and fingernails are neat. You're avoiding any heavy perfume, cologne, and you're concealing any piercings and tattoos. Generally, you want to wear a suit, navy blue, black, or gray. However, you also want to make sure you're dressing according to the job and company culture. So if you're going for an interview at a tattoo parlor, you're probably going to want to show those piercings and tattoos. If you're going for a job at a warehouse or something in that aspect, you might not want to wear a suit. You might feel a little overdressed. Instead, maybe a collared shirt and a nice pair of dress pants or a blouse with some dress slacks. If you're not sure of the company culture, it's always better to just dress more professionally and conservatively. And then some tips for managing stress. Interviews can be extremely stressful, but just remember to breathe. Take some deep breaths. Remember that interviews are a two-way street. You're interviewing the company to make sure that they're the right fit for you as well. Planning ahead is really going to help reduce your stress level, and practicing those interview questions as well. Practice with a friend or a family member. We'll even get into a great website to practice later on in the presentation. If you're still nervous, assume the superhero posture. I know it sounds silly, but if you stand with your feet shoulder length apart, put your hands on your hips, elbows bent, chin high, and look in a mirror and say, "I've got this." It's been known to really produce confidence and also project that power to help you feel more successful during that interview. Some traditional interview questions. These types of questions are used to get a general sense of who you are as a professional and how you qualify for a position. So these are going to be those questions like, tell me about yourself. Why should we hire you? What is your greatest strength? What is your greatest weakness? Just make sure you keep these questions professional and positive. When they ask you, tell me about yourself, they don't necessarily want to know that you're married with 3 children and your hobbies are reading books and going on long walks on the beach. They want to know about your professional experience. Start with your education, talk about your work experience, what you've learned, and how you've gotten to where you are today professionally. Something like your greatest weakness, you want to make sure that you're being honest and accurate, but you don't want to answer it in a cliche answer like, I work too hard. Be honest, pick something accurate, and pick something that you can talk about how you're working to improve on that weakness. Time management is a great one. You can talk about how you might not have the greatest time management or scheduling skills, but you're working on that by making sure you're adding events into your phone, putting alarms to keep yourself on track, and making sure you're arriving at your events and what you need to on time. And behavioral interview questions, these types of questions are used to predict how you would handle various work-related situations based on your past experiences and performances. So these are going to be questions like, tell me about a time when you worked with a difficult team member, or give an example of a situation where you solved a problem. These are the tougher questions. So when you're answering these questions, you want to try to use the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. So you want to give an overview of the situation and context of the story and explain the task you had to complete. You want to describe the steps you took to complete that task and then conclude with the result of your action. So an example of this is, say you're in charge of new hire orientations. The manager who assists you called off the morning of. You have 2 options. You could reschedule the new hire orientations, delaying that hiring process and the new employees, or you could just do it and come up with an alternative way to get it done. So as an employee, you decide to grab a colleague or a coworker, have them help you with the new hire orientations, guide them through the process of helping you. You accomplish those new hire orientations, and as a result, your manager is happy with the tasks you took and the fact that you no longer have to delay those orientations and you can get those new employees hired. So if you are looking to practice some of these interview questions, the Big Interview is a great tool online to help you practice. It gives you some popular interview questions, some tips for answering those. You can even practice answering those questions with a video screen. You can answer a question and then play it back to see how you look, how you're answering it. If you want to check out the Big Interview website, highly recommend this. Go to the PA CareerLink website, click on the Career Services tab, and select Interview Techniques. All right, so we did all that prep work. We've researched, we've planned, we have our outfit ready. So during the interview, we want to make sure we're being professional. You want to make sure that you are arriving at the interview as professional as possible, even when you're in the car pulling into the parking lot. So keep your music down, remove your headphones. You want to get there 10 to 15 minutes early. The last thing you want to be doing is flying into the parking lot, running to the building. You're going to be flustered, you're going to be stressed, out of breath. That's not how you want to start your interview. Get there 10 to 15 minutes early, take some time, take some deep breaths, make sure you have all the materials you need. And then as soon as you exit your car, turn on that interview you. You want to make sure you're greeting everyone with a smile and you're polite and professional. Most likely after your interview, the person who interviewed you is going to go up to the front desk and they might ask for their opinion or what they thought of you. So you want to make sure that that is a great impression. Turn off your phone, even your Apple Watch. You want to make sure you're eliminating anything that might go off and cause distraction during your interview, and make sure you're not chewing gum. And then also use positive nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is key to maintaining that professional atmosphere during your interview. You want to make sure that your arms aren't crossed and you don't seem defensive and you're not flailing your arms all around, because that could be distracting. I'm a big hand talker. My hands are going right now as I'm talking. What I try to do is in important meetings or interviews, I put my hands together and I set them on my lap or on the table to try to keep myself from them flying all over the place. So some tips for answering questions. It's totally okay to ask for clarification. If you don't understand a question or not sure what they're asking, take a minute, take a deep breath, and just professionally and politely ask them to rephrase the question for you. Take a few seconds to really think about your answers. You want to make sure you're providing a correct answer and an answer that's really going to represent you. So just take a few seconds, take a breath, think about how you want to answer, and answer the question. Avoid using filler words such as like, and you know, because if you use them too much, they could be a huge distraction for the person interviewing you. And make sure you include information you learned about the company and the position through your research. You took all that time researching and preparing. Show them that you did that. Use that research, use that information, and don't forget to draw on your past professional and educational experiences. And as always, remain positive. So some illegal questions are any questions regarding marital status, children, age, ethnicity, religion, and sexual orientation. If asked these potentially illegal questions, realize it may be completely unintentional. The person interviewing you might be just as nervous as you are and might be trying to just ease into the interview or make conversation or try to get to know you just to make things more comfortable for both of you. Remain professional, remain calm, don't act offensive, and just ask for clarification on how those questions relate to the job and the position. If they are insistent on asking these questions or continue to ask them or want to know more about these things, it is okay to professionally and politely, again, end the interview. In the event that you do that, I would recommend contacting human resources to let them know what's happening. They might not realize that the person interviewing is asking those questions, and they're going to want to resolve that issue right away. And then ask questions. At the end of every interview, they're going to ask you if you have any questions. So you want to make sure you have 3 to 5 questions prepared. Questions like, how would you describe this company's culture? What do you like most about working for this company? Describe some of the most important skills someone would need to excel in this role, are all great questions to ask. And you always want to end your questions with, what are the next steps in the hiring process? This lets the interviewer know you're done asking questions and you're ready to know what the next steps are so you can be prepared for follow-up. So before you leave, pre-pandemic, you would shake the interviewer's hand. Not sure if that'll change, if we'll have a new norm, but typically, yes, you would shake the interviewer's hand and thank him or her for taking the time to meet with you and interview you. Don't forget to ask for a business card so you have their contact information for follow-up steps. And again, know the next steps, which is why you ask that question at the end of your questions. And because we are doing this virtually and virtual interviews are becoming more common, thought it would be helpful to have a virtual interview slide in here. So even prior to the pandemic, virtual interviews and phone calls were becoming more popular for the interviewing process because it allows the HR manager to kind of get a feel for who you are and your qualifications before they take the time and the resources to bring you in for an interview. This not only saves them time, but it also saves the interviewee time and money because you're not spending gas to drive to the interview. So before your interview, take some time and test your technology. Make sure your camera works, your microphone works, you've got great internet connection. Use it with a friend, try a Zoom or some sort of video conferencing with a friend or family member to make sure that everything is working properly. They can hear you, you can hear them. Prepare your environment. You want to try to be in front of a blank background. That way there's not any distractions behind you. If you don't have a blank wall to be in front of, just make sure your environment is clean and tidy. You're going to have a hard time convincing a hiring manager how clean and organized you are if you've got chaos and a mess behind you in the background. And make sure that the light is in front of you, not behind you. The best way to test this out is by using your phone camera. Just turn it on and make sure that wherever you're sitting looks okay lighting wise. You want to stay focused. So it's important to make sure that nobody's in the room with you during your interview. You don't want to be looking at your children in the next room to make sure that they're behaving, or you don't want any crazy noise in the background. So put yourself in a room by yourself if you're able to. If you have little ones at home, see if you could get a friend or family member to maybe keep an eye on them or do something to make sure that they're distracted so that you can get your interview done without interruptions. And maintain eye contact with the camera. You want to make sure you're looking at the camera and not the screen, because when you're looking at the screen, it does look like you're looking down and not maintaining eye contact with the person. And then, of course, you want to make sure you're dressing professionally. Even with a virtual interview or a phone call, this is an interview. So make sure you're dressing professionally from head to toe. Not only is it going to look great, but you're setting that tone for a great, successful interview. So after the interview, you want to send a thank you email. Typically within 24 hours, 80% of interviewers say receiving a thank you note impacts their decision making, but only about 24% actually take the time to send that thank you note or thank you email out. It does not have to be anything long or anything crazy, just a few sentences. You know, my name is so-and-so. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. This is why I think your company would be a great fit for myself, and just reiterate those key points. And then you want to follow up within the timeline you were given. You don't want to pester the company. So if they gave you a timeline of, excuse me. So if they gave you a timeline, oh, sorry, I got a bug in my throat. If they gave you a timeline of a week, don't follow up with them in 2 days. Wait a week and then follow up. So now we're going to go through some mock interviews with Brandy and Anthony. They graciously took on some time to record some interviews, so we're going to go through those now. So the first interview is a mock interview on what not to say with Brandy. So we're going to go ahead and view that. So tell me about yourself.
My name is Brandy. My peeps call me B. I'm 5'4", blonde-ish. I like taking walks on the beach. You know, I'm pretty chill.
What is your greatest weakness?
Weakness? Is there such a thing? Well, I guess anything over 50 pounds.
Give an example of a situation where you solved a problem.
Well, there was this one time. Can we pass?
So that was a TikTok that Brandy thankfully helped us out with, of great examples of what not to say during an interview. So now we are going to watch a TikTok with Anthony on what to say during an interview. So tell me about yourself.
Hi, I'm Anthony, and I'm a workforce development professional with over 5 years of experience. I love helping people. My experience includes resume writing, career coaching, communication skills, and recruitment.
What is your greatest weakness?
I have trouble saying no sometimes because I want to help so many people. I've learned how to politely say no when I don't have the time nor the capacity.
Give an example of a situation where you solved a problem.
I got kicked out of a Zoom meeting when I lost my connection. However, I stayed calm, tried again, and when all else failed, I called into the meeting instead so I didn't miss any important details.
So those were some great examples of what to and not to say during an interview. So that concludes the AC interview presentation. Thank you so much for joining. For more information on our workshops and the CareerLink itself, please visit our new websites for our local offices, careerlinkhazelton.org and careerlinkwilkes-barre.org. You can check out our virtual resource center for more videos on our awesome workshops. And then just remember to register for the Luzerne County Recovery Job Fair next week.
Thank you, Brittany. That was amazing. Brandy and Anthony, great job with the video. Brittany, thank you for executing that interview and staying sane during Brandy's awesome interview. That was superb. Thank you so much for doing that. If anyone has any questions, you can reach out to Brittany, Anthony, Melf at the PA CareerLink. Again, register for the job fair coming up next Tuesday, December 15th from 9 to 5 at LuzerneCountyJobs.vfairs.com. On there, you will find other educational materials and seminars from our friends at the PA CareerLink, also from Building Blocks Learning Center and Keystone College. We also will have this recording on our Facebook as well as our YouTube channels for you to have access to get you ready for the interview process and the job fair as a whole, along with a bunch of other materials there to get you ready for the process of going through that day and having a wonderful experience looking for a new career, a new job. I also want to say that some of the tips for the virtual job fair was very, very important, such as looking at the camera and not the screen. I have a problem with that. Lighting is key, and just having no distractions and stuff around you, and definitely testing out the Wi-Fi and such, make sure it's a great connection. And Anthony, on your video, you touched on what happens if you were to lose your Zoom connection, just to stay calm, get reconnected and call them. That's all great tips that we can take and use while you're attending the job fair.
Yes, and Ahmad, if I may share, in addition to one, Brittany, great job on the AC interview presentation. So many helpful tips. It never gets old for me listening to that presentation. We try to do two things in those mock interview examples. Given TikTok, you only have 60 seconds, so we try to keep it short, of course. But we did want to give some feedback on or examples of how to not only do a mock interview well, but on, online, a remote or virtual one. So Brandy did an excellent job of sharing some things as to, what might not go well in an interview. And to your point, Ahmad, that answer was twofold in that. One, if you do get disconnected from a call, worst case scenario, just call in, right? So that way you don't lose out on that information. But also when giving an answer to a question such as, provide an example of a time where you solved a problem, you want to be specific, right? You want to actually provide an example. That's what the question's asking. So you always want to answer the question asked. And Brandy, may I pull you in? Do you want to share some thoughts on your video as to what not to say?
Well, I think it was obvious on what not to say by that video, but, I have to repeat after Brittany on so many things, but the main thing I will say is to prepare yourself, be prepared, do your research on the company that you're interviewing with and the interview questions that may come to you, because you can get stumped and it's obvious you're going to get nervous. Anyone gets nervous, through any process of an interview. I just had my phone ring, gotta go, literally just hung up on someone. But, those are the things that happen. These things come up. So learn how to deal with it. Be calm, be patient throughout all of this process, but be prepared, number one. And thank you again for letting us participate.
Wonderful. Well said. Well said. So we do hope everyone enjoyed that, and thank you as well for allowing me to participate. It was fun. Speaking of problem solving, I think we're all coming up with ways to interact and engage online. So this was a really cool opportunity, and we hope everyone participates in the upcoming Luzerne County Recovery Job Fair this Tuesday, where you'll be able to hear more from us with more helpful tips and resources. Thank you, Ahmad, Brandy, and Brittany.
Yes, I echo the thank you all around. We will be coming out with some videos to show you how you can navigate and fully experience the job fair platforms through vFair and connect with all 70 or more employers that will be there at the job fair. You'll have the opportunity to chat with them live, do quick screen phone interviews or video chat as well. So this here, acing the interview session is very important. Take that into mind when you're going into the job fair next Tuesday, December 15th. Again, that website is LuzerneCountyJobs.vfairs.com. Until next time, for our next Wednesday Wisdom, we hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. And again, share this information with anyone you feel will be beneficial to have. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.